This is Duke University.
The Duke in Montreal program has a 4-semester language requirement, so if you've had up through French 204, the equivalent, you're welcome to apply. But by no means do you need to be a French minor or major. In fact, many of the students on the program came from a variety of different disciplines.
When I got to Montreal, I was really surprised at how genuinely nice people were in addition to their bilingual abilities. So I was able to actually scale back and pace down and be able to perfect my French.
We can't really understand the French culture without really examining the North American side of the French-speaking world. So I guess it's important that we get used to the Quebecois usage and the vocabulary and the accent, so that at the end of the day we can speak not only to metropolitan French people, but also to North American French people.
I would say what's most interesting or attractive about it is that Montreal really finds the perfect way to blend North American culture with European culture. So if you're looking for that European experience without diving too much into French and the whole European identity, I'd say Montreal would be the perfect city for you, because honestly, walking through the streets and talking to people, you can switch from English to French with ease. You could feel like you're in America, but also feel like you're in Europe, which I thought was very interesting about Montreal. So I definitely would recommend visiting it if you're interested in that.
I feel like going to Montreal, going to Quebec City, I really learned a lot more than I could have maybe in a European country where they're just really strict with everything. Everyone in Canada is pretty laid back, so it was fun to kind of just meet people, speak in French, speak in English, speak in franglais. But yeah, especially going to Canada, just speaking in French, I really feel like I'm more comfortable marketing my language to other people. Before I was kind of hesitant to be like, yeah, I speak French, but not really, let's speak in English. But now I'm more willing, if I know someone speaks French, I'm more willing to try because of my experience there.
The first 2 weeks in Quebec, we didn't have classes, so they were basically structured around visits. So we visited places like the Chambre de Commerce, we visited the l'Office québécois de la langue française, and it was basically structured on applying our readings to visits.
Because we actually get to go with Francisation agents into individual businesses, and students shadow them for several hours throughout their work and see what it's really like as the law unfolds in an actual place of business. So this allows them very in-depth and profound understanding, really, of how this law impacts business and culture.
Going to Montreal this past summer and going to businesses and advertising agencies, I really got to see the other side of economics. In our classes, we're really focused on finance, but definitely going to see the business aspect of it. How is the principles I've learned in econ applied to advertising and marketing was just a really special experience.
International businesses have to change their strategies and their marketing campaigns to connect with a Quebecois audience. So it was actually really fascinating because you're seeing all these common brands, video game companies or Victoria's Secret or something, and how they have to change their marketing strategy to really appeal to a Quebecois audience as opposed to an Anglophone Canadian audience or even an American or straight up French audience. So it was really interesting kind of seeing that side-by-side comparison.
Usually we have quite a bit of free time to explore, but at the same time we also have a very rigorous program. So usually in the morning we visit ad agencies or certain government agencies that are in charge of Francisation, which is the Frenchifying efforts of the country. And then in the afternoon, we will have some free time to walk around Montreal City to enjoy the sights and sounds of this amazing place.
In the second half of the program, we spend quite a bit of time with marketing and specifically with advertising. And we work very closely with the Quebec Advertising Association to come up with several advertising agencies that represent a really nice sort of overview of Montreal's major advertising agencies.
And that's where we basically took what we had previously learned and we applied it specifically into marketing. So we had different projects that were structured around that.
The different ad agencies that we visited really welcomed in with open arms and really showed us their case. They basically taught a semester worth of classes on case studies and how they exactly responded to their audiences and what strategies they came up with. How and why exactly. So it was very, very rich in that sense. I was not expecting that.
We visited different businesses, different agencies, got to see how they market to Quebecers. But the classes are only a couple hours a day, and our professor is so encouraging of exploring the city on our own. A lot of my friends that I've had study abroad experiences always complain that even though they were in this foreign country, they were so caught up with their schoolwork and stressed out that they never really had an opportunity to like engage in the culture and explore on their own. But I feel like my experience in Canada was completely different. Like in class or after class was over, we had the whole day to ourselves to do whatever we wanted to do. Of course, we still had our schoolwork, but we also did a lot of things. I'm a big shopper, so I walked around the town, did a little shopping. When we were in Quebec City, that was one of my favorite times because they have what's called the Festival d'été, which is the summer festival of music, and they have like 300 different performers from all around the world come.
Festivals are going on right outside the door. The Juste pour Rire festival is happening. There's an African music festival happening as well. And this is actually part of the coursework. So in addition to courses in the morning, in the second half of the program, students have time to go out to the festivals to do some ethnographic studies and then to meet with people running the festival as well as employees.
I went to Montreal straight after a semester in France, and then the first thing that I noticed when I got to Montreal was how French-speaking the place was, because I expected, Canada to be very Americanized and, very influenced by the English-speaking Anglophone culture in North America. But in fact, it was a lot more European and a lot more unique than I first expected.
And I was just surprised at just how nice everyone was in Canada. We were with a small group. Our group had 7, and there was times when we were like on the street looking at our maps, trying to find a place to go, and then some random Quebecer on their bike would stop on their bike, get off the bike, and be like, "Oh, where are you going? Do you need help?" And we're like, "Obviously, we need help. We're American students with a map in our hand." But it was stuff like that I don't really see every day here in the States. But yeah, that just shocked me. Like, they're just so nice there.
This summer in Montreal was amazing because it provided a lot of perspectives that I probably wouldn't have gotten just from taking classes here at Duke.
One thing that really interests me was when you say merci, usually they don't respond with the regular de rien or je t'en prie, je vous en prie. It was more of bienvenue, which literally means welcome. And at first I thought it was just at restaurants or people on the streets being hospitable, but actually everyone says that. So there are small words that are particular to the area, which makes it even more charming. And it was just interesting to discover all of that.
I think what it really helped me figure out was that traveling and experiencing other cultures and just being abroad in general is fascinating, and it really keeps you on your toes and you're always learning new things. So it's never just the same old that you're comfortable with. And that made me realize, I think, that I kind of want to keep doing that for the rest of my life. So if I do look for an internship, I would love for it to be abroad somewhere or somewhere that I could practice my French.
Produced by Duke University. Online at duke.edu.